Hello and welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras. For a few years now, actually a couple years, the Big Beautiful Women Pageant of Delaware has been showing the public that full-figured women are just as talented, intelligent, and pretty as the slender type models. And joining us today is the Delaware Pageant Director, Annette Fletcher. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Yesenia.
Thank you. I had to make sure I had said a few years because I know you started like maybe in 2015, but I mean, a lot of women have been actually getting involved. You've been getting the message out there about full-figured women and just doing so many phenomenal things. And we'll get right into that. But before we do, thank you for joining us today.
It is definitely my pleasure.
Yes, and we're going to get all things about Big Beautiful Women Pageant. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself, anything that you'd like to share with us in regards to like other things you do within our community, because I always see you out and about.
Yes, ma'am. So I am a native Delawarean, born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware, on 25th Street, where we had an awesome community of people and supportive neighbors that welcomed each other and supported one another. I went to John Dickinson High School, which is also in Wilmington, and I left for college, where I went to Bethune-Cookman and Johnson C. Smith for a period of time, but I graduated from Bethune-Cookman.
And we like to say WIT-22 is the pulse of the city. So we love having homegrown Wilmingtonians on the show. Talk to us a little bit about your perspective in regards to like being born and raised here, growing up from these streets, and actually now having such a successful pageantry going on in Delaware and just being who you are as a person.
Okay, so I have 7 sisters and 2 brothers. So there are 10 of us. So my family is huge. And growing up on 25th Street, we had an awesome community of people, like I said earlier. So we had our neighbors, we kind of had an open door policy. So my parents were community parents, our neighbors were community parents. They were able to make correction and things as we were growing up, but they each all taught us something as well. I learned how to ride my bike from Vanessa Robinson, who was my neighbor.
Okay.
And we were able to grow up with neighbors' kids, and we were able to play outside without issue or concerns, and we learned a number of things growing up in our community with those neighbors and the family and friends that we grew up with on that block. So it was awesome.
I truly miss those days. I mean, now technology has evolved and the younger generation is all about being on computers and things like that, but we grew up in the generation where we rode our bikes and we played to the
Barbie
lights.
dolls, yes. My neighbors, they had the huge Barbie house. Do you remember the Barbie house? So we used to go next door and play with Lulu and Robin, and then we would go across the street to play at Miss Renee's. We did double dutch, we did Chinese jump rope, you name it. All of those outside activities we were on.
Nice. And you actually had the opportunity to go to Bethune-Cookman University. You were in the marching band as well.
Yes, ma'am.
That's something we have in common.
I was a part of the Pride, and I am, and always will be, a Sophisticat Flag Corps member.
Wonderful. Now tell us a little bit about that experience in regards to just music, being able to memorize music, forming a relationship bond with other people in the band, because that's something that now a lot of schools are missing, is that music sector. But you've been able to go through it, and talk to us a little bit about your crab analogy.
So at Bethune-Cookman, your freshman year, you were known as a crab. You were given a green visor to wear during your crab year until homecoming, which is when you have an opportunity to break it and to say, I am officially a wildcat. So as a wildcat or a crab in the band, our identification was a white t-shirt. So I had a white t-shirt all the way up until classic, which is when you're able to wear the school colors and to be an official wildcat. But that experience was awesome because it kind of birthed you into yourself, kind of. So you're learning about yourself as you go to school, and when we leave, I think, high school, we think we kind of go, we have this understanding of what's going to happen when we get to college, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, but it kind of settles you into what you need to do and be in college. So our band program was huge on academics. So you could not be in the band program if you did not have a passing grade, or you would have to sit out, or you didn't perform. And everyone wants to perform.
That's right.
The Marching Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman College, now university, is a phenomenal institution and program, and everybody wants to be a part. So to be a part and not be able to perform because your grades are not up to par, was not a thing.
Right.
So the fact that they instilled that academia was important, the fact that they had like a community of people. So the freshman class is kind of like a family that gets inducted to the entire family of the Pride. So it was awesome. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I cried a lot.
Right.
But I was in shape back then too. We had
Weren't we all?
Oh my goodness. We had a trainer called Rosina, and she would work us every band camp.
Yeah.
But we were better for it.
That's
And
right.
we were precise, we were in tune, we were together in our aesthetics as well as on the field, which is why Bethune-Cookman College now looks so good.
That's right. And it makes you so, just talented in so many different areas, well-rounded
Yes.
individual.
The uniformity that's needed to perform with the group is imperative. Understanding who's on your team, what they bring to the team, how they're able to share is something that I like and I want to implement throughout the pageantry world, which is how they kind of connect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I just wanted people to hear your perspective in regards to just going through that experience, because a lot of people tend to forget about music, the arts, in our school districts.
It is
So
imperative. So I was in the band at Dickinson, John Dixon High School as well. I don't think they have a band program anymore, but that exposure and connection to other students in Delaware was awesome. That exposure to the band program, to other band programs. We did competition, which takes you out of Delaware sometimes. Our trip was to Canada and to Florida, so you got to see other. That was my first time at Disney, at John Dixon High School. We had a fundraiser, so it taught you how to raise money, to make money for the program so that you can do all of these wonderful things. And I think it's imperative that the arts remains in our schools, not just one school, but all of the schools, so that the children have an opportunity, the learners
Right.
have an opportunity to learn, to grow within the arts. It is so important. Emotionally, socially, cognitively,
That's
the
right.
arts is imperative.
Yeah, you take away lifetime skills. I was at William Penn High School when I was in the marching band, and you learn about competition, you learn about teamwork, because we all have to be in formation while we're out in the field. So everyone has to carry each other's weight.
Yes.
So it's very competitive.
It is. And with the color guard, it was cool because we had an opportunity to kind of share a piece in the routine.
Okay.
So you were given an opportunity to include an 8 count. I was given an opportunity to add an 8 count. So we build the program supporting one another.
Wonderful. So now share with us, you had the opportunity to travel abroad in Japan and South Africa, an opportunity that many of us don't actually get, even to visit on a vacation, right?
Right.
So tell us a little bit about why you were able to go abroad, and what are some of the experiences that you went through that you were able to bring back here to the States and kind of go on with it.
Wow, that was awesome. So I used to want to be an ambassador for the United States. So I figured the best way to be an ambassador was to go abroad. So I was trying to figure out how to do that. Okay. So I ended up joining Peace Corps. I got selected for Peace Corps in Namibia, and I was there for 2 years as a parent and community education volunteer. That gave me an opportunity to organize a number of programs with a counterpart in hopes that that program would remain when I left after my 2 years assignment in Namibia. After Namibia, Peace Corps tells you everything that you can do. Go to school, participate in JET. They tell you about some other organizations that are partners with Peace Corps that are similar, some grant projects, educational opportunities, a variety of things that you can do basically after your service. So after my service, I initially wanted to go with JET, which is equivalent to Peace Corps, but it's in Japan. But they had already selected their volunteers, so I applied to go with NOVA to Japan. And in Japan, I basically did some of the same things. I taught English in Japan. I taught my teachers English, but through games, events, and activities, because it's a partnership. Because again, you want the partners to be able to do or continue whatever you're implementing when you're there in that time period. Peace Corps was a phenomenal experience that I encourage people to embark on. There are a number of positions and things that you can do. In the village where I served, which was just outside a town called Amaruru in Namibia, not only did we organize a library for the community, but we had a women's income generating project. We had a HIV and AIDS program for youth, which gave them a chance to kind of do speaking engagements, to share education, and to put that on their resume. We also had an opportunity to get some computers, like the old school computers in the elementary school, Willem Borchard Primary School, which is where I was based. And the year that I was there, English was being implemented into the schools. So Afrikaans was spoken in all of the schools. It was the national language. But in 2001, it was changing from Afrikaans to English. So using English, teaching them how to use English across the curriculum, or at least to start to insert it without it being overwhelming or intimidating, was kind of cool.
And so talk to me about women's image, just abroad before we get to Delaware and the United States of America. But is women's image a big thing in Africa or Japan?
Oh my gosh. The women's image abroad varies, just like it does here. In Namibia at that time, there were 4 main tribes for the most part, and the expectations for each of them seemingly were different. The Damaras, which is the community in which I served, seemed to be teachers, educators. The Ochiherero women were typically farmers, and the Ovambo women were business women. So in general, that was where they were, but they were growing in terms of working outside the home. So in general, most of them, first responsibility was at home, the food, make sure the husband is taken care of, the children are taken care of, they have what they need for school, and they were working inside the homes when I was there.
So it's not like here where it's about having the designer bags and the clothes. It's more about career and family oriented and...
They are very tied to education and support. Like, they thrive on opportunities to learn, to grow, to develop in all areas. So I think that was the cool thing about living abroad, is seeing the opportunities that exist and watching people flood towards them. And I don't feel like we have a lot of programming here in the States, and I don't think we have a lot of people who take advantage of those opportunities. But the difference seemingly is abroad, people are very interested in education, very interested in opportunities, and they take advantage of them every opportunity they get.
And speaking about programs, you brought the Big Beautiful Women Delaware pageant right here to our state. So talk to us a little bit about the mission. What is the purpose of this pageant, and why do we have it?
Okay, so the Big Beautiful Women of Delaware, our motto is building amicable relations, which is a twist on domestic violence. So as an early childhood educator, you don't say, stop, don't do that. You twist it and you say, please sit down, please keep your hands to yourself. So you reinforce the behavior that you want to happen. So we want to have amicable relations. We want people to have positive engagements with women, with men, across the board. So a way of addressing domestic violence is teaching people, and especially women, how to work together, that they are valued, and that every flaw is perfect. And every flaw and experience is everything that we need you to be in order for you to teach and to support our young girls coming up. None of us are perfect, and it's nice to see imperfected people doing great things.
Mm-hmm. And the best thing I like about the pageant is that you're seeing full-figured women on these runways participating just as if they were in any other pageant that have the slender type models. So talk to us about this.
Well, this is our queen, Andrea Blasingame. She is actually a queen in Philadelphia. And this was our 2018 pageant. And we had Leah Ware, one of the Muslim designers here in Delaware, actually showcase her items. So this is one of their pieces.
And so how do you go about picking and choosing what these women are going to participate during the pageant?
Well, this year, for the Wear Your Crown Speakers Series, we had everyone who attended, at least 5 of them, to participate this year in the pageant. So that's how we selected the women that you will see in the BBW Delaware pageant.
And do you train them for runway here as well? I know
Yes.
you do them after the empowerment series, but talk to us about that as well.
So after the empowerment series is how we prepare them, and the ones who don't attend but they want to be in the pageant, we ensure that they have the skills that they need to represent well on stage.
And what is some of the feedback you've received from these full-figured women who are walking the runway, being the queens that they are, wearing the crowns that they have? Talk to us about that.
These women are amazing, and I'm so not going to cry. We had rehearsal yesterday, and we had Isabel Bradley and Precious Alberts White, who was just before her, come to support the ladies. Precious will actually be supporting one of the contestants in the back as they're getting dressed and prepared for the day on the 8th. So they all contribute or continue to contribute to the plus size women, to the mission, and they were all also speakers during the empowerment series.
Mm-hmm. And what is the Women Empowerment Series? I've had the pleasure of attending two of them. Rashima Dixon, Councilwoman at Large, was there, and also 4th District Councilwoman Michelle Harley was there as a speaker as well. So I think you've done a tremendous job over the years doing this. But for those who aren't unaware of what the Wear Your Crown series is, talk to us about that and what's the benefit for our community for those who do attend.
So it's a free event. It's entitled Wear Your Crown, Walking into Your Queendom, because we all have a crown, whether we wear it or not. But the intent is to inspire women and girls into their purpose. So this year we had 21 speakers who spoke between January and May. Okay. And they shared their authentic stories, which connected a variety of women to a variety of women in Delaware. This is Madeline Porter. She is an artist, a phenomenal artist. And she's a young artist that was able to share her story, connect to women and girls, and for women and girls to say, you're an artist? Is that what you do? And for her to say how and why she does it. And for the attendees to say, wow, she is this age, or this is what she's doing. I might be able to do, you know, just a spark.
Right. Hope, inspiration.
Just a spark. You only need that little spark for people to say, maybe I'll kind of do something. Maybe I'll walk into what I've been feeling like I want to do, but not feeling like I can or I'm able to. The initial speaker was Yolanda Avant, and there were 3 people registered to hear her speak, and she was coming from Philadelphia. And I called her and I said, Yolanda, there are only 3 women. Like, you don't have to come all the way down to Delaware. You know, we can go live and I'll just like include you in the live. And she said, no, if those 3 women signed up to hear me speak and share my story, I'm coming. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yes, they are. Whoever's there is meant to be there. I'm coming to share, and I'll be there in 30 minutes.
That's right.
And I was like, okay. So I got for myself, regardless of who is there, we're going to continue. We are going to have the Wear Your Crown Speaker Series, and we've had from 1 to 25, 30 plus people at the Wear Your Crown Series. And everyone who attended, I believe, were meant to be there.
And how important is it to empower one another when it comes to women and young girls? I mean, just alone for City Council, we have an historic session. We have 7 women on council. So that speaks tremendous to the young girls who one day would like to be a public servant and change the city that we live in. So here you're actually giving that same type of inspiration to the young girls, but you're talking to them about self-esteem. You're talking to them about the journey that these women have traveled and gone through, doing community service, working on civic association boards. Why is it so important for you to show our community all these different type of women, the walks that they've made, and to actually communicate with one another the importance of building each other up?
So we don't actually say that we are building self-esteem, because this generation, they don't really want to hear that. Mm-hmm. They want to see authentic women sharing their authentic stories, what they are authentically doing, and how they got there. So if you're telling a young lady, oh, you know, you can be the president of the United States, you can be city council, they're like, what do you know about that? You're not the president, you're not on city council, so they don't want to hear from me.
Okay.
They want to hear from authentic women who have been through all of these things, that they can honestly say, it was not a walk in the park. It's not easy, it is going to take work. But there are resilient women who are able to do those things. So we share the women's story during the Empowerment Series, the Wear Your Crown Series, mm-hmm. that connects them to that. So we have City Councilwoman Harley and City Councilwoman Rashima Dixon at large who are participating in the Wear Your Crown Speaker Series. And the women and girls who are there, we're not saying you can be her, because we don't want you to be her. We want you to be your authentic self, and we want you to share yourself and your story as is. Mercy will actually be having she is one of our attendees that attended at least 5 events. Actually, those 4 actually are the ones that attended the 5, and they'll be walking during the pageant. She also has a table. It's called Mercy's Closet. So she'll have a table sharing her wares the day of the pageant. But it's about empowering them and encouraging them to do those things. Her mother encourages her and supports her and has like a hair salon or another business that she does, but it's about exposing our youth to those things, those opportunities. And it may not be the best or the biggest, but it's theirs. And we're supporting her and them as they do those things. And then when other young ladies see Mercy with a table selling things, but you're so young. How old are you? I don't even think she's 13. I think she's 12.
Wonderful.
But that's inspiring for women and for girls, for women to say, you know what, I've been thinking about it, but to see this young lady at a table selling her things, it's like, wow, I just need to do it.
That's right.
Yes, let's jump together. You have a network of women who are here waiting for you to share.
And now we have an actual pageant coming up in September. And before we get there, talk to me a little bit about your experience, because you were a pageant queen, and when you participated in the pageant, you came out second place. And a lot of young girls, especially when they compete in these competitions, they get a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit, a lot of, oh my God, I didn't win. Why did I even participate in this? Because people tend to always look at the prize. I'm really big on the journey. What did I learn from the experience? It's great to win first place, but it's not always about first place. It's about the people you've met, the people you've interviewed, the people you've worked with. It's always about the process. If you don't love the process, who cares about first place, right? That's just the icing on the cake. But talk to me about your story, because when you shared it with me, I just was so intrigued in the fact of how you didn't win first place, you won second place. But like you said earlier, when we started, about perspective and switching things, and you were able to bring the pageant here, and you were able to do so many things with our girls. So talk to us about that.
So I won in 2016 for the local, and I was tied for second runner-up with Nicole Scott for the BBW International Pageant. And I came back and I was like, Dr. J, I worked really hard to get that crown. And I came back with I tied for second runner-up, and she was like, that was awesome. Like, that was perfect. I was like, what do you mean? It can't be perfect because I didn't have the crown. She said, but what did you learn? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I guess to be myself, and that I can do anything if I put my mind to it, or that I was able to actually raise money to be able to go and to be able to have everything that I need. And then I started kind of sitting in it, and I was like, that was like I put myself on stage in front of a number of people and judges to be judged, and I've never done that before. Like, that in itself was cool.
Which is nerve-wracking for most people.
And it is, and at that time, your adrenaline is going. And she was like, yes. And I was like, you know what? But we're all queens, right?
That's right.
So Nicole Scott, we tied. We tied for second runner-up.
Okay.
Angelina Blackman took the crown that year. And Crystal, and I don't remember her name, is Miss Virginia, Miss BBW Virginia, and she has been competing for a couple of years to get this title. So I'm like, for me to walk on, this was my first time
Don't forget,
ever.
your first time competing.
Right.
Internationally.
So, yes, so I was like, you know what? This was pretty cool. This was awesome. Like, I competed with women who have been competing for years, who won in their respective states. I believe they did this particular pageant like 3-4 years before they got to where they are. So they were perfecting their craft. So these women are doing phenomenal things now in their respective areas. So I was like, okay, so what are we going to do here for women and girls?
That's right, because it's never existed in Delaware.
No. And the Wear Your Crown Speaker Series, because of everything that I learned when I did compete, and I do feel like I got a bit of a boost, like a bit of a burst of confidence,
Right.
you know? So I was like, okay, I'm not perfect. I don't have it all together, but I do believe that it's imperative for women and girls to know these stories and to know that they can do casting, they can do pageantry, and we're going to be here to support them and encourage them in that process.
And I believe that all the things you're doing with the pageant is very needed in our community because our young girls growing up, we already have so many bullies. I mean, people can pick on you for your hair, your teeth. I mean, it can get ugly with women and girls, right? And so talk to us about like the growing up part with the self-esteem and just self-image, because, you know, in our society right now, even the way I look, some people can say, oh, well, why don't you get some sculpture done to fix a little bit of this here, fix a little bit there, go to surgery, cut you. And it's just like, for what? Like, who are we pleasing?
One of my sayings is be perfect in your imperfection. So we each bring something to the table and to own it, even on the stage, to own it. But when I was abroad, I was hearing about things that were happening here in Delaware. My mother was alive at the time, and she would send me articles on things that were happening, good and bad things. And I'm like, I'm doing all of these things internationally, working with women and girls, the income generating project for women, the youth group, talking about HIV and AIDS. Well, in Japan, we were teaching English and I played volleyball, but that was a whole nother thing. But I'm like, I need to do these things at home. Our women and girls need these things at home. And where there are organizations that are meeting the needs of some of our women and girls, there are a lot of women and girls. Someone mentioned that there aren't a number of leaders or authentic leaders. There doesn't have to be, but there needs to be a variety of programming to address a variety of the needs that our women and girls have.
And I was going to say, did you yourself go through any
bullying?
Personal any personal journey?
Well, I'm chocolate. I'm still chocolate. Mm-hmm. They still don't have makeup really to accommodate my complexion, and when I do find it, I'm like, yes, you did that. Did you see this? Oh my gosh, you matched me.
It's really hard, even for me. It makes me look orange if I don't get the right complexion.
In college, we had three women come because we had to wear makeup when we performed in the band. They could not match me. So I typically had to wear nothing with like eyeshadow and like then blush and lipstick or something, because we used to wear our hair the same way.
So how did you deal with that? Because there's a lot of other young girls and women your complexion who go through this journey and battle within their self. I like to call it a war. And so it's like, you know, how do you deal with that? Take us there.
You know, I was at Johnson C. Smith at the mall. There is the skating ring in the mall. And I was coming out of Claire's, and this kid said, "Oh my gosh, you are so black!" And it echoed through the entire ice skating ring. And I stopped, and it felt like everything froze at the time. And I turned around, and I said, "And I love it. And it's who I am." And he was like, "And you like it?" I said, "Yes, I do." And I walked away, and he was like still standing there. Now my heart was like pounding, like, I cannot believe he just said that. And it echoed through the entire mall and the ice skating ring.
Wow.
But from that point moving forward, I was like, I'm black, I'm charcoal, you know, they tar baby, all the names that I'm owning it. I am chocolate, I am black, I'm an African American, I'm African, however you want to identify my blackness, my melanin, it's me. I own it. It is what it is. It ain't going nowhere. I'm not bleaching my skin. If you don't like it, you can walk on.
That's right.
But I'm here, and I'm not saying that that is imperfection. I'm here in my perfection, in my complexion, owning it.
Right. And we are who we are. We can't control other people's opinions, so you just have to love the skin you're in.
I agree. You do what you can when you can, and if it's not for you, then it's not for you, and it's okay.
And now, Annette, we have our pageant coming up September 8th. You've also joined other community organizations. So talk to us. It's 12 to 4 on Sunday, September 8th, right here at the Chase Center on the riverfront. So tell us a little bit about the pageant and coming up, like the organizations you're combining with.
Partnering with. So we have the Academy for Peace, or the Stop the Violence Coalition, LLC, with Dr. J. Macklin. They are supporting the pageant along with the Trunks of Love. So the Academy for Peace basically has our same mission in mind in terms of building community, having activities that are free and open to the public in a safe space, which is down at 203 North Market Street, which is right here in Wilmington. People are always like, there's nothing happening in Wilmington. It's not safe in Wilmington. It is, and it's a fabulous place to be. Wonderful. So Trunks of Love is by Nikki Robbins Thompson, and they basically give first-year college students everything that you need for your freshman year. So that crab year that you're going through, and if you don't know that you should have twin long sheets, they have them for you, along with everything else that you need to be okay for your freshman year.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Annette, for your time. It's truly an honor to have you on the show today. And best of luck to all the full-figured women who are going to participate in the pageant on September 8th.
All right. Thank you, Yesenia, for having me.
Yes. Thank you for all the other things you're doing in our community. Wonderful. And on behalf of all of us here at WITN 22, we'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for watching this episode of In Focus. I've been your host, Yesenia Taveras.